Hello and welcome to Salvation Army News Buzz. The Salvation Army is working with both Dorset and Wiltshire Police to rescue and support potential victims of trafficking. Our team has been working to assess the needs of the victims and to ensure that they have access to accommodation and support at safe houses. And The Guardian published an article this week of 20 great things from the Midlands. The article, topped by Gravity's discoverer, Sir Isaac Newton, includes athletes Gary Lineker and Rebecca Adlington, and features the Salvation Army's very own founder, William Booth. Booth, who famously declared "My best men are women," hails from Snayton, Nottingham, and began the organisation, which is now serving in 126 countries around the world. In Washington State, USA, the Salvation Army is assisting emergency responders and people affected by a large-scale mudslide north of Seattle. 90 people are unaccounted for, with at least 24 known to have been killed. Some victims may be left behind in mud. God's Cadets, the BBC 4 documentary, has been shortlisted for the Radio Times Readers' Award. To vote, simply email sanford@radiotimescomps.co.uk with God's Cadets in the subject line, or go online to radiotimes.com/Sanford. That's all for this week. Check back with us next week for your weekly news update.
While I was in South Africa, AIDS was one of the things that we encountered immediately upon entering, because the very first place we stayed was Etembeni Children's Home, which was basically a home for abandoned children between the ages of birth, I believe, and around 4 or 5 years old. So the children who were staying there, some of them did have parents who have AIDS, were at risk of having AIDS, or they were unsure of whether or not they had them. During the time we were there, we did get to play with them a little bit, but it was a bittersweet moment, because we knew that maybe this child may have AIDS, maybe they'll get sick, maybe they'll get adopted, maybe they won't. So we basically just did the best to get to love them while we could. That was one of the first times we really encountered how HIV was really a huge factor in South Africa. And then later on, we went to Swaziland, and one of my team members said to me that it was the highest rate of HIV and AIDS in the world. You could tell that it was a huge problem in that community, because the Salvation Army Center that we stayed at was specifically for HIV and AIDS. It was also a core, but they serviced the community to help them with HIV and AIDS specifically. And while we were there, we got to participate in a parade that informed the community that the center was available to them as a resource to use in case they needed any like safe protection kits or anything like that. It helped inform them about the different methods of prevention and how to keep safe from getting this disease. The Salvation Army Center we stayed at was definitely, I thought, very helpful in just that there was a parade that whole day. We walked around, we gave out flyers, invited people to the core, and then people would come in from different parts of Swaziland, different communities, and they would talk about what they've done in their communities, like different projects that they're doing. That was the day we most saw how the Salvation Army was really hands-on in kind of preventing and educating and teaching people about the disease. And I know that in this country, it has a bad stigma carried to it, and I think in a lot of places it does as well because of how it's contracted. But like in the case of the children, it's not always like what you may think it may be, how the person got it. So unfortunately, it has shame carried to it that may not necessarily need to be there. But it was just kind of scary to think that like 1 in every 4 person in the country could have the disease. So anyone you could be looking at, you like never really knew how healthy they were.
I'm here today outside the O2 Arena with Lieutenant Colonel Eddie Hobgood. Now, Eddie is the coordinator for the next Salvation Army International Congress for July 2015. So, Eddie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, a pleasure.
Now, first off, I want to ask, how many people are we expecting at this event in 2015?
Absolutely. Well, we think between 14,000 and 18,000 people will be coming to the International Congress based on preliminary figures we've been receiving.
That's a lot of people.
A lot of people, yes.
From a lot of different countries as well.
Yes, we're in 126 countries, and the General is hoping that every single one of those countries will be represented.
So that's a lot of admin, a lot of logistics, a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of groundwork, a lot of details, accommodations, legal issues, visas, all those sorts of things that we've had to start sorting through. But we're actually
Sure.
moving into a phase now where we're being creative. We're working on planning the sessions. We've hired a production company that will help these visions come to life.
So this is like as big as, or bigger even, than some of the events that go on here at the O2 Arena anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of the obviously big stars come in, but they're here for a night, maybe 2 nights. We're here practically for a week. The Congress is 5 full days, and so it will be packed full of all kinds of exciting things. We'll feature some of the best speakers in the Salvation Army. Some of the most wonderful performance and musical groups that we have will be coming. All cultures will be represented, so they'll not just be wonderful music and exciting things to see, but beauty, lots of color. Lots of things that perhaps you've only ever read about or seen on the television. They'll be live and in person here at the Congress.
And how are you promoting this?
Well, from the very beginning, we've produced a communique that's gone out around the world about every 6 weeks with the latest information. But on the 15th of September, we launched our website, boundless2015.org. And on that website, you can find a lot of information about the Congress, sometimes perhaps more than you care to know, but it's all there. And in addition, at the website, you can sign up for our newsletter, and right to your inbox, we will, every 4 to 6 weeks, we will send you some additional information about the latest goings on and happenings with the Congress. No excuse for not knowing what's going on.
No, it's all there.
Yes.
And finally, Eddie, why should we come to this Congress? Tell us what it's about.
Sure. Well, it's the 150th anniversary of the founding of the Salvation Army, and one of the things that excited us about getting the O2 is the fact that we are in the East End of London, and just a couple of miles from this location is where it all began. And so after 150 years, we're really, in a sense, coming home to where our roots are. So we're excited about that, but we have 3 buzzwords that we've kind of used in the Congress office to really focus on making this event what it should be. And the first is commemorate. We're going to commemorate the past, our roots, our heritage. We're going to celebrate what God is doing in the Salvation Army today, and then we're going to innovate for tomorrow. We hope the Salvation Army will be in existence and even stronger than it is today, 150 years from now. And so we hope these 5 days together will help us think and plan and innovate for that exciting future.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Eddie, and I very much look forward to celebrating 2015.
Great, thanks.